Have you ever noticed how many people seem to just fade away after turning 80? Even those who not long ago were active, sharp, and full of life suddenly begin to decline in unexpected ways. It raises an important question. Why does this happen? Most people assume it's all about genetics or just bad luck, but the truth is, there's more to the story. In this video, we're going to explore 5 surprising reasons, ones that are rarely talked about, that help explain why so many seniors in Singapore begin to struggle with their health and vitality after 80. And no, we're not talking about the usual suspects like poor diet, smoking, or lack of exercise. These are more subtle and deeper issues, often overlooked even by those who've always taken good care of themselves. The good news is, once we understand these factors, we can act on them, even before turning 80. So if you've ever wondered what truly affects longevity and want to protect your well-being while there's still time, stay with me until the end. These 5 points might change the way you age and make all the difference in the years to come. Let's begin. Number 1. The loss of micro-social engagement. Few people talk about this, but one of the first and most overlooked reasons why many older adults lose vitality after 80 is the silent disappearance of what experts call micro-social engagement. We're not just talking about close friendships or family connections, though those are still very important. We're talking about the tiny, everyday interactions that used to happen without much thought. That friendly good morning to the postman, a quick joke with the cashier, a wave to the neighbor walking their dog. These moments might seem small, but they play a powerful role. They regulate your nervous system, reinforce your sense of belonging, and keep your social brain active and healthy. So what happens after 80? Many seniors stop going to the market because groceries are now delivered. They stop walking around the block because their knees hurt, or they struggle to hear conversations. Slowly, these little points of contact with the outside world begin to fade away, and along with them, vitality starts to fade too. What's striking is that most people don't even realize this is happening. They think they're simply making life easier. But in reality, they're quietly removing the very stimuli that kept their brains sharp. Moods elevated, and bodies connected to the world around them. Take, for example, Mr. Tan, 84. He's still lively and sharp. What's his secret? Every morning he walks to the same coffee shop, greets the same staff, and waves to neighbors at the corner. Just 5 minutes of human connection that give structure to his day. It's not just routine. It's what makes him feel seen, useful, present. And when that disappears, the body notices. The brain reacts to isolation, even the subtle kind, as a form of stress. This throws hormones off balance, increases inflammation, and weakens the immune system. Even more seriously, it damages the brain circuits responsible for memory, focus, and emotional health. In other words, you could start aging faster without even realizing it. So if you've noticed that you no longer talk to many people during the day, if you've stopped going out for simple errands, or if you feel a bit invisible on your own street, it's time to change that, because these small daily social moments, even the briefest ones, send a powerful message to your brain. You still matter. You're still part of the world. And that feeling is one of the most powerful medicines for staying alive, not just in years, but in spirit. Number 2, inactivity caused by excessive caution. Another quiet reason why many people begin to decline after 80 has to do with something that often looks like wisdom, being careful. But there's a thin line between being careful and becoming too cautious. And once that line is crossed, the consequences might not show up right away, but they build up over time. It usually starts with the best intentions. Maybe you slipped on the stairs once, or had a close call walking near a wet curb. From that moment, you begin avoiding walks. You stop bending down to reach something on a lower shelf. You hesitate to get into the back seat of a car, and slowly, you move less, you sit more, and your body starts to lose its strength. The worst part? People around you might even encourage this behavior. It's safer this way, they say, don't push yourself. But nobody talks about the price of staying too still, because when movement decreases, strength disappears, not just in your legs and arms, but in your balance, your coordination, and even your internal stability. Our bodies aren't like machines you can leave in storage and expect to work perfectly later. They're more like gardens. They need daily care, and when movement becomes rare, your body doesn't stay preserved. It starts to weaken, and it begins from the inside. Most people don't realize how essential the deep muscles in your core are. They help you stand, walk, get out of bed, sit down safely. If they're not used, for just a few weeks they start to shrink, and that's when balance becomes unreliable. I remember Mr. Lim, A2. He used to enjoy evening walks around his neighborhood, but one rainy evening he slipped on a wet tile and got frightened. He didn't break anything. It was just the fear. But from that day on, he stopped walking. Instead, he spent most of his time sitting and watching TV. Within 6 months, he lost nearly 5 kilograms of muscle. His legs began to feel like jelly. The doctor warned him, but by then his body was already on a downhill path. Mr. Lim didn't stop walking because he was weak. He became weak because he stopped walking. Now, of course, I'm not saying we should ignore real risks. It's important and necessary not to take precautions. Wear safe shoes, install grab bars at home, keep floors dry and well lit, use a walking stick if needed. But there's a big difference between managing risks and surrendering to fear. Because when fear starts guiding your movements, the body forgets how to move. So if you've noticed you're doing less, not because your body can't, but because you're afraid of what might happen, stop and reflect. Are you really protecting yourself, or are you slowly disappearing? Living well after 80 isn't just about avoiding falls. It's about continuing to move, even if it's slower, more mindful, more cautious. Movement tells your body it's still needed. It tells your brain to stay sharp. It gives your heart a reason to keep beating strong. Let's keep going. Number 3, disrupted sleep from irregular light exposure. There's a quiet clock inside your body. It doesn't tick, but it controls almost everything. Your mood, your metabolism, your immune system, even how your brain repairs itself at night. And after 80, this internal clock, known as your circadian rhythm, becomes even more sensitive. One of the main reasons it falls out of sync: not enough natural light during the day, and too much artificial light at night. At first, you may not even notice. Maybe you doze off in the afternoon sun, or you stop going outside on rainy or hazy days. Then at night, the TV stays on longer. You scroll through your phone in bed. The hallway light stays on just in case. Each of these things seems harmless, but together they confuse your body. It no longer knows when to be awake and when to wind down. Our bodies rely on natural light to work properly. Daylight, especially in the morning, activates the brain. It sends the signal: time to move, time to energize, time to live. Then, when night falls, darkness triggers melatonin, the calming hormone that helps us fall into a deep, healing sleep. But when your eyes don't get enough sunlight during the day, or when your nights are filled with screen light and glowing, bulbs of the signals get scrambled. The body loses track of the rhythm, sleep becomes shallow, broken. You wake up multiple times, or lie in bed for hours, and still wake up feeling like you barely slept. And it goes beyond sleep. When your body's rhythm is off, your immunity drops, your mood becomes fragile, and your risk of cognitive decline increases. Then there's vitamin D, the sunshine. Vitamin. After 80, your skin becomes less efficient at making it, and without regular exposure to sunlight, your bones, your muscles, and your immune system all suffer even more. I remember Madame Tan, 84. She was always tired, her memory was fuzzy, her energy low, but her medical tests, all normal. No change in diet, no new medications. Then her doctor suggested something simple: 10 minutes in the morning near a window with the curtains wide open, and no screens for at least 1 hour before bedtime. 2 weeks later, her sleep had completely changed, and with it came clarity, motivation, even a better mood. It wasn't medication, it was light. So if you've been spending your days mostly indoors with the curtains drawn, or if your nights are lit up by your TV, your phone, or your bedside lamp, maybe it's time to rethink that. Try stepping outside within the first hour of waking up, even just 5 minutes on the balcony. Let your eyes and your skin absorb that natural light. And at night, turn the lights down. Give your body the chance to slow down, to enter rest mode, because your body's rhythms aren't just about comfort, they're about survival. What many people forget is this: your body doesn't age just with time. It ages when it loses its organization. When your internal systems fall out of sync, everything starts to break down. But when you restore your light signals, honor your sleep cycle, and care for your natural rhythm, you're telling your body, even at 85, we're still on schedule, we're still moving, we're still here. Number 4, when pain is swallowed in silence. Reaching your 80s is a true achievement, but along with the wisdom, the memories, and the life experience, often come losses that younger people can barely imagine. The loss of a spouse, of siblings, of lifelong friends, and in the most painful cases, even of a child. The world outside may offer kind words, a hug, a quiet, "I'm so sorry," but what most people don't realize is that these losses don't stay just in the mind. They settle in the body. Over time, it's not just sadness, becomes a quiet habit, to hold it all in, to swallow the pain, to pretend you're fine. Sometimes it's because you think you should have moved on by now. Other times it's because there's no one left who truly understands what that absence means. But here's something that needs to be said. The body does not forget. When pain isn't felt, when it isn't spoken, when it isn't shared, it doesn't disappear. It hides, and slowly it begins to weigh you down. Your immune system weakens, sleep becomes restless, digestion changes, hormones lose their balance, your nervous system stays on high alert, as if the body is bracing itself. Every single day. On the outside, you may look calm, you might even say, "I'm fine." But if your shoulders feel heavier, if your chest tightens for no reason, if that sparkle in your eyes has gone dim, maybe grief is still there, even if you haven't spoken of it in years. I remember Mr. Lim, 86. He lost his wife after 60 years of marriage. He didn't cry much. Said it wasn't his way. Told everyone he was all right. But within a year he began to lose weight, stopped going out, started having trouble sleeping. It wasn't illness, it was pain. Pain that had nowhere to go. The most important thing to understand is this: emotional pain doesn't need to be dramatic to be damaging, and when it starts to show up in the body, we often don't even recognize where it's coming from. Those who make it past 80 with strength and vitality often have one thing in common: a safe space to feel. Maybe it's a trusted friend, maybe it's a journal, a spiritual practice that gives meaning, a support group or a therapist who helps loosen the knots in the soul. The method doesn't matter. The principle does. What is expressed can be transformed. What is hidden becomes heavy. If you've been carrying something inside, not because you want to, but because you didn't know where to put it, maybe now is the time. Time to open space, not just for your emotions, but for life to come in again. Because the heart can only carry so much pain before it starts to go quiet. And if you want to keep living, not just breathing, but truly alive, then you must let the heart feel too. 5. The silent loss of daily purpose. One of the most invisible reasons why many people struggle after turning 80 is the slow erosion of daily purpose. And we're not talking about a big philosophical life mission here. We're talking about the small things, the little reasons to get out of bed with a quiet sense of intention. Sometimes it's watering the plants before the sun gets too hot, or feeding the neighbor's cat that always shows up at the same time. Maybe it's writing a postcard to a grandchild, or fixing the squeaky hinge on the back gate. They seem simple, but they carry immense importance. Because when those tiny reasons fade, the days start to lose their shape. Mornings arrive without urgency. Nights come without reflection. And quietly, something inside begins to dim. The body listens to the mind, and when the mind no longer sees a reason to keep going, the body responds. Appetite shrinks, movement slows, internal systems go quiet. Not because they're broken, but because they're waiting for a signal to start up again. It often goes unnoticed. The weekly card game was cancelled. The church group stopped gathering. Family visits became less frequent. That volunteer activity had to be dropped because of aching knees. You might tell yourself, it's just part of aging, but deep down, You feel the days starting to blur together, and each one a little quieter than the last. I remember Mr. Tan, 89. He didn't have a large family. His health wasn't perfect, but somehow he radiated life. Every Monday he folded origami cranes to send to hospitalized children. On Thursdays he sorted used books for a local charity. And every afternoon around 4, he sat by his window and waved to the school kids walking home. He knew their names. They waved back. Some even stopped for a quick hello. Nothing grand. But it gave shape to his days, rhythm to his heart, and connection to his life. That's the part no one tells you. The body stays alive as long as it feels it's needed. A small, steady purpose is like fuel. It tells your cells, keep going. It tells your brain, there's still something here that matters. When we feel like we're no longer needed, the inner flame starts to dim. That's why people who remain vibrant into their 80s often have something that anchors their day. It might be a garden, a pet, a morning prayer, a daily journal, or just a habit of calling someone at the same time every week. The key isn't how big it is, it's how consistent it is. If your days have started to feel adrift, pay attention. Your body might be asking for rhythm, for connection, for purpose. Because longevity isn't just about having a beating heart, it's about having a heart that wants to beat. Most people don't fade after 80 because of a sudden event. It's not usually a fall or a diagnosis or a birthday that changes everything. What happens is gradual, subtle. A quiet slipping away of habits, structure, and daily reasons to stay engaged with life. But here's the good news. Just as it fades slowly, it can return slowly too. A short morning stretch. A quick walk around the block. A smile shared with the cashier. One small action done not because you have to, but because it brings back rhythm, meaning, and connection. Now that we've reached the end of this video, take a moment to think about the 5 unexpected reasons we've covered. Which one surprised you most? Which one felt uncomfortably familiar? And most importantly, which one are you willing to gently transform starting today? You may not control aging, but you can transform how you age. If you're willing to protect your rhythm, preserve your purpose, and allow yourself to feel what needs to be felt, then there's a real chance you'll do more than just reach 80. You'll live beyond it, with depth, clarity, and in your own rhythm. Elder longevity for a longer, stronger life.